Hey guys, this is Pat and Heidi from Rain Country, and today it's Q&A again, and we had a couple of good questions, and they were concerning power. One question was about our solar panels, and I think in one of our videos we talked about not having enough solar in the wintertime, and you know, getting more solar panels and what we're going to do with them in a confined area that we have to work with. And so the question was, how come we don't go higher up on the roof, like over top of the peak, and use some mounting hardware to go up over the peak a little bit more? That's a good question. We actually could do that. There's two main reasons I don't want to do that. Aesthetically, I don't think it would be that attractive, especially to the people passing by on the street. And number two, I think it would be fairly costly to put that kind of hardware up on the roof. Like, the panels are actually faced easterly, which is not the most optimum place to mount the panels, but we wanted to go ahead and utilize that area because, again, it's not on the roadside, it's in the backyard. It doesn't look aesthetically, it's not offensive to the neighbors or whatever like that, so I don't think the neighbors would really care one way or another, but we're just trying to keep the property as good looking on the outside as we possibly can, you know. If we were to do any, I mean, if I wasn't really concerned about putting solar panels on the south side of the house, that would be the best area to actually mount the solar panels. But again, we're trying to keep all of that kind of stuff, restricted to the backyard.
Right.
Let's see. I have 6 more panels. I have, let's see. Well, currently I have installed 28. 180 watt and 190 watt solar panels. They're hooked in arrays of 2. They're 224 volt panels that are hooked into to make a 48 volt charge system or array. So I have 14 arrays that for 48 volts that go into a combiner box, and then that goes into our charge controller, and the charge controller obviously regulates the batteries. This time of year, it's March, and we're topped off right now. So when we get a good sunny day out here, the system works great. But we have a lot of clouds and such that really affect our collection in the wintertime.
Right. So
I have 6 more panels that I'm going to install. Those are actually 280 watts a piece. And so I'll have 3 more arrays to hook into a combiner box. I still have more room in my combiner box to do that. And then from there, I'm going to also eventually put in another charge controller, because right now we have one 60 watt charge controller, and now I have another sister charge controller that'll make a 120 amp charge controller. We got circuit breakers on everything. Everything is circuit breaker,
yep,
safetied up, so we don't have any worries of overcharging any circuitry. So,
well, and then another question that we had was, if we're connected to public power, which we are, because many of you have been following us for a while, will know that we're only partially off grid. You know, we live in a neighborhood in town, and so we've been slowly morphing our place into being more off grid. And so the question being, okay, well, if you have public power, why do you cook on the wood stove? And why don't you just utilize the power that you have? Well, because there's 2 reasons why. And one is, well, we have solar power, and we can use some solar power all year round. And so we use it as much as we can. I mean, yes, it's an investment, so we want to get as much of our money's worth out of those solar panels as we can throughout the year. So we're going to do that to save money on our power bill as well. And then the other reason why is to keep, you know, the things that aren't solar related, like the wood stove or the treadle machine, doing certain things by hand, like I have a hand mixer. I don't have an electric mixer anymore. When my last electric mixer gave up the ghost, I just went with a hand mixer, and it does everything I need. I don't need an electric mixer. So that's getting us prepared for maybe eventually going completely off grid, whether it be here where we're at, or in if we get that new dream place that we keep dreaming about, and wherever that is, we don't know yet. Our hope is to be completely off grid, and so we want to be practiced up and prepared and ready, and just to be able to go right into it without any hitches. And I've been cooking on my wood stove for a good number of years now. I started a little bit at a time, and using it for drying clothes for at least a good 20 years or so. So it's, things have been kind of progressing along a little more all the time. And so, yeah, it's about being as self-sufficient as possible and saving money at the same time.
Yeah, frugality and independence, or self-sufficiency.
All right, so how we utilize the solar power as far as inside the house is Mr. Rain installed 4 different solar-only outlets into the house. There's one in our living room, there's one in our laundry area, and so it's right behind our washer and dryer, so I can plug the washing machine into it, our clothes washer. And if you saw my off-grid laundry setup, I'll go ahead and link to that video right up here where it shows the whole laundry room. There's one half that's electric, one half runs, the other half is the off-grid where it doesn't run on electricity. So I have both public power and solar power side by side in that same area, and same thing applies to the kitchen. So I got one in the kitchen, one of the solar outlets is in the kitchen, and one is in the dining room. So then we just plug our string lights in there for our lighting, whatever it is we're running, vacuum cleaners, anything, we just plug into those outlets, and as much as we can, that's what we run off of that. And then he runs solar power out to his shop as well. We have other outlets around the property too that run off of the solar.
Right. Yeah, in the power room, and in the
greenhouse.
Greenhouse, we have power in the greenhouse.
There's a couple of them in there.
Got an extension cord ran to the shop. So,
yeah.
couple anyway. So. Yeah.
So he can run all his power tools in the summertime. He can run them in the spring too, and fall off of the solar power, and then in the summer, that chicken has just been all day doing this. So through the spring, summer, and fall, I can run my electric dehydrators off the solar power, and I usually do that out in the greenhouse so I'm not heating up the house in the warm months. And just plug them in out there and just get all my dehydrating done.
Right, and so the freezers and the refrigerator, depending on how much power we're collecting, we can switch from one outlet to the next.
Right, so they're just right next to each other.
The other thing is we're not grid tied. We're independent of the utilities. So yeah. And
then the one more thing I want to add as far as the kitchen, the one in the kitchen, that will, when we're getting lots of solar power, when's our refrigerator, I cook on hot plates, since we typically won't have fires going in the summer, and that are plugged into the solar power. And then I use my little toaster oven for baking and running off the solar power. And so that's how I do a lot of that, if I'm not using the rocket stove outside or the barbecuer or the solar oven.
Right.
So that's why we do what we do and how we do some of it. And that's just a kind of a brief rundown, really. But you'll see other videos throughout the this season as we're heading into that time of the year where we're using more solar, and you'll be able to see what we do and the different ways that we use it. And so just stay tuned.
Back to why we don't mount the solar panels differently is that the hardware for the sun tracking solar panels is pretty cost inhibitive, and you have to have quite a bit of area in order to install that. A guy can make his own and put it on a pipe and rotate it himself and do different things like that, but I just decided to mount our solar panels on Unistrut, and that was a very cost-effective way of installing the solar panels. So I think, well, if we needed more solar panels at some point, to expand our system. We can do different things in the yard and different things like that to augment our solar collection in the wintertime.
Okay, well, Mr. Rain, I think we better get back to our chores because it is a nice day. This has been a very nice warm day, one of the first real nice warm days we've had, and we've been getting a lot done outside.
Right.
So we should get back to it.
Well, guys, just leave your comments below if you have any suggestions or want to chit chat with us, ask us more questions. Go ahead and use that as a resource for communication. And
thanks for watching.
take care.
And God bless.